Is oral sex a sin? Human sexuality is a complex and multifaceted topic addressed in various biblical passages. Among sexual practices, oral sex often raises questions about its morality and acceptance within the Christian context. Although the Bible does not explicitly mention oral sex as a sin, interpretations of sexuality in the Christian tradition yield different conclusions about this practice. Genesis, the first book of the Bible, contains two narratives about creation. The second narrative, Genesis 2, focuses more on the creation of man and woman, detailing the intimate relationship between them and the role that sexuality plays in that union. Here, God creates Adam, and upon realizing that it is not good for man to be alone, forms Eve from one of Adam's ribs. Genesis 2 verses 18 to 23. This origin of woman implies a deep connection between spouses, which is fundamental to understanding the verse in focus. Oral sex is often viewed with prejudice and taboos. Oral sex, a sexual practice involving the stimulation of the genitalia with the mouth, is a topic surrounded by controversies and prejudices. Despite being a common practice among couples, there remains significant stigma associated with it. This prejudice can be attributed to cultural, religious, and social factors that shape our understanding of sexuality. But before we continue, please like and subscribe to the channel to receive notifications for more videos, and this will help the channel grow. The verse Genesis 2 verse 24 establishes that, upon marrying, a man and a woman shall leave their father and mother. This expression suggests the formation of a new family unit, where the couple's priorities and loyalties shift from their family of origin to the new family they are forming. This separation is crucial to understanding the autonomy and responsibility that come with marriage. The second part of the verse, "They shall become one flesh," is a powerful statement about the intimacy and physical, emotional, and spiritual union between spouses. This metaphor of one flesh suggests a deep integration, where individual identities merge into a new shared reality. This is also frequently interpreted as a reference to sexuality, recognizing that sexual intimacy is an integral and celebrated part of the marital relationship. The biblical view of sexuality is that it is a gift from God to humanity, intended to be enjoyed within the context of marriage. Sexual intercourse is not only seen as a means of procreation, but also as an expression of love, commitment, and union. Sexuality is, therefore, a vital part of married life, contributing to the intimacy and emotional connection between partners. Cultural norms play a crucial role in how oral sex is perceived. In many cultures, sexuality is a taboo subject, and sexual practices that deviate from the norm, often defined as penetrative sexual relations between heterosexual couples, are viewed with suspicion. Oral sex may be considered an immoral or dirty act, leading to shame and silence around the subject. Religions have a significant influence on attitudes toward sexuality. Many religious traditions have strict doctrines regarding what is acceptable in terms of sexual activity. Oral sex, not being viewed as a traditional means of procreation, is often classified as undesirable or even sinful. This view can create a moral dilemma for individuals who wish to explore their sexuality in a healthy way. Gender expectations also play an important role in the prejudice surrounding oral sex. Women often face criticism or stigma for performing oral sex, while men may be praised. This double standard perpetuates the idea that female sexuality should be controlled and suppressed, while male sexuality is often celebrated. This creates an environment where many feel embarrassed or ashamed to discuss their preferences and desires. The lack of comprehensive sexual education contributes to the prejudice against oral sex. Many people grow up without clear and accurate information about sexuality, leading to myths and misunderstandings. The absence of open dialogue about oral sex can reinforce the idea that this practice is unacceptable or shameful. Sexual education should include discussions about all forms of sexual pleasure, promoting a healthier and more inclusive view of sexuality. The prejudice against oral sex can have negative consequences for individuals' sexual and emotional health. Shame and fear of judgment can lead to a lack of communication between partners, resulting in less satisfying and less healthy relationships. Additionally, stigmatization can discourage people from seeking information about safe practices, increasing the risk of sexually transmitted infections, STIs. The prejudice against oral sex reflects cultural norms, religious beliefs, and gender stigmas surrounding sexuality. To overcome these taboos, it is essential to promote comprehensive sexual education and encourage open conversations about sexuality. Only then can we create an environment where everyone feels comfortable and accepted in exploring their sexuality safely and consensually. Sexuality is a natural part of the human experience and should be treated with respect and understanding. This approach allows for the exploration of the various layers of prejudice surrounding oral sex, inviting reflection and dialogue. If you need more details or a different focus, I'm here to help. The way oral sex is portrayed in the media also contributes to the prejudice. Often, it is presented superficially or humorously, which dehumanizes the practice and reduces its value to mere entertainment. This can create a disconnect between reality and social perception, perpetuating stigmas. Religious beliefs play a crucial role in shaping attitudes toward oral sex. Many religions have a conservative view of sexuality, where sex is primarily seen as a means of procreation. In this context, oral sex may be considered sinful or immoral, creating a dilemma for individuals who wish to explore their sexuality. However, some religious and interpretive movements have adopted more open stances regarding sexuality, recognizing the importance of pleasure and intimacy in relationships. These groups argue that oral sex, when practiced with consent and love, can be a healthy expression of sexuality. The prejudice against oral sex is also intertwined with gender norms. Women often face harsher judgment for performing oral sex, while men may be viewed as masculine or dominant. This dichotomy creates an environment where women feel pressured to conform to more restrictive behavior standards. The absence of explicit references to oral sex in the Mosaic laws is notable. This lack of mention does not necessarily imply that the practice was considered acceptable or unacceptable, but leaves room for various interpretations. Some scholars and theologians argue that the Bible, focusing on practices that threaten family structure or sexual purity, may have sidelined practices that were not seen as equally problematic at the time. Religious beliefs play a crucial role in shaping attitudes toward oral sex. Many religions have a conservative view of sexuality, where sex is primarily seen as a means of procreation. In this context, oral sex may be considered sinful or immoral, creating a dilemma for individuals who wish to explore their sexuality. Historically, many religious traditions have taken conservative stances on sexuality, often emphasizing procreation as the primary purpose of sexual relations. This perspective has led to strict teachings about sexual morality, including prohibitions against practices deemed non-procreative, such as oral sex. However, over time, as societies have evolved and discussions around sexuality have broadened, certain religious groups have begun to reinterpret these teachings. Several progressive religious movements advocate for a more nuanced understanding of sexuality. These groups often emphasize the importance of context, love, and mutual consent over rigid interpretations of scriptural texts. For instance, they may draw on broader biblical themes of love, intimacy, and the sanctity of marriage to argue that sexual pleasure is not only acceptable, but essential for healthy relationships. Feminist theology has played a significant role in reshaping attitudes towards sexuality within many religious communities. By highlighting women's voices and experiences, feminist theologians argue that sexual pleasure is a natural and healthy part of relationships. They challenge the patriarchal interpretations of Scripture that often vilify female sexuality and promote a more equitable understanding of sexual practices, including oral sex. One of the cornerstones of progressive religious views on sexuality is the emphasis on consent. These movements assert that any sexual activity, including oral sex, should be grounded in mutual agreement and respect. This focus helps to foster healthy sexual relationships where both partners feel valued and empowered to express their desires.